Howdy, guys, and welcome to a recap of Survivor Season 42's episode number 2. And welcome to Cliff Notes from a long way away from the Survivor Island. But thanks to Jeff Probst and dozens of cameramen and editors and everything else, I feel like I'm right there in the middle of the action, having fun so far this season. Now, last week, the premiere episode was 2 hours long. Recap took a little longer because of it as well. Tonight, just 1 hour long, so we'll go a little bit faster, talk about what happened. But we still had a lot of action that we need to talk about. So first of all, a refresher from last week. Unfortunately, we lost Zach from the Ica, the Blue Tribe. And we also lost Jackson for medical reasons from the Taku, the Orange Tribe. I still don't know these tribe names just yet. So I'm going to continue to refer to the tribes with color as well. It helps me keep everything straight. So thank you for CBS for doing that. So we lost Zach and we lost Jackson. We've already gone from 18 down to 16 people. But more importantly, we've got 2 tribes that are down to 5 people each. I got to say, I'm used to Big Brother, where you got 16 people to start with. I couldn't hide under the radar, but a lot of people could hide under the radar for the first half of the season. When you've only got 5 people going into week number 2 or cycle number 2, there's nowhere to hide. Suddenly 3 votes send someone home. You've got to be doing a lot of work from the very get-go with these 3 tribes instead of 2 tribes that we used to see in some of the old Survivors. So everything's ramped up. That combined with the quicker time period, the 29 days or so, just like we had last season, just makes everything happen just a little bit faster, a little bit more chaotic. And I kind of like to see that as a viewer. So again, we lost Zach and we lost Jackson. As we start the episode this evening, we're over on the Vadi, the Green Tribe. We see that people are talking about, remember, they don't have rice this year to eat. They're completely dependent upon what they can gather. I saw a tweet from Ricard from last season 41, saying one of the beaches that one of the tribes was on, I just can't remember which one it is. He said they basically had limes there, but that was it. That's the only food that was available. Well, the Vadi tribe has a little bit more than that. They find some crabs. They're like hermit crabs, but not like the kind you had as a kid. These are big old crabs. I could be eating some crabs. They look pretty good. So they're cooking a lot of crabs, and looks like they're eating pretty well. I'd take those crabs over rice, I think, just about. They're eating pretty well, except for Hai, who tells us that he is vegan and therefore he doesn't feel comfortable eating the crabs. I think that's a mistake. I'm kind of anti-bug, but when you're hungry, you do what you got to take. I'd be eating bugs or anything else. I think that includes the vegans out there who maybe would need to bend the rules a little bit, because it's all about keeping your energy levels up if you want to survive on this island. And that means eating a little protein. That means eating a little crab at times. So I think it's a little bit of a mistake to honor your back in the real world kind of discipline. And Hai eventually does discover that. He says, look, I hope people are understanding, but I gotta break the rules a little bit while I'm on the island. Yeah, Hai, we get it. I'd be disappointed if you did anything else. You do what you have to do to keep your energy levels up to compete in the game. So Hai, along with everyone else eating the crabs, they're looking pretty good. They're just like a low-end kind of night at Red Lobster. I love Red Lobster. I shouldn't say that, but yeah, they're eating crabs. It looks pretty good. We also see switching over to the Orange, is that the Taku tribe? I'll figure these out one of these days, but we'll go over to the Orange tribe. We see Maryanne just go to town with a machete. She reminds me of maybe, I don't know, picture Jack Nicholson in The Shining. That's about the look that Maryanne's getting, as she's cutting this bamboo with the machete. She's having fun with it, but she's definitely getting everyone else's attention. Maryanne is so fun to watch. She's kind of my rising star. I know I talked about it last week. I'm going to talk about it this week. She's a joy to watch. She's got passion. She's enjoying being out there. Everything is just fun for her. And that's what I like seeing in a reality TV contestant. So Maryanne is having fun. I love watching her. She's getting such a good edit. This all takes place and then editors come along and edit it later. She's getting such a good edit, which I think is a good sign. I hope that means that we're going to get to see her for a while, that she's not going home anytime soon, just by the way she's being spun. I don't know how much it's being spun and how much it's just natural Maryanne out there. Maryanne, welcome Maryanne. I can't help but think of that name and then think of Gilligan and the original Maryanne, but I'm cheering for this Marianne right here. She's I just love watching her play. All right. We talk about Marianne going to town with the machete, but we also on this tribe get a little bit of a discussion from Omar talking about the fact that he is a Muslim. He'd like to still pray while he's out on the island. He hopes everyone is okay with it. And I love that everyone's like, yeah, we're fine. No worries whatsoever. I think it's Marianne that weaves him a mat to help him with his prayers and all that. I just love people saying, yeah, you're good. Whatever, we're good. So yeah, it kind of warmed my heart a little bit. So Omar mentions that, has a little bit of a story about that. And then we talk on the blue team, and we've got Drea. Now remember, Drea's in a pretty good position. She got two separate advantages last week. She got the extra vote because she risked her vote when she went to the island. But then she also found the shared immunity, or not shared, the shared amulet, I guess is what it is. Remember, if you got 3 powers, I think you can cancel out. I'll have to go back and refresh. But the fewer people who play that amulet all at once, the more power that you have, or the fewer amulets that are in play at the time that you play it. So anyway, the crux of it, she's got 2 separate advantages. So Drea is looking pretty good. Of all the people on any of these tribes, she's probably the one that can afford to just sit back, play not quite as hard for just a little bit, because she should know that she does have a little bit of protection. But we also see a little conversation taking place where Drea is aligning with Tori. Well, first of all, she's talking about Roxroy and Romeo, if I recall, that she's aligned with the 2 of them. So those 3 are together. But she's also talking to Tori and Swati about the idea of having a girls' alliance. And so she's kind of 5 people on the team. She's got an alliance of 3 over here. She's got an alliance of 3 over here. She's covering all her bases, which nothing is wrong with that, but you got to be a little careful when you do something like that. It seems like maybe she's a little more aligned with the women based on the fact that she goes ahead and tells them that she has this extra vote that she won when she risked her vote up on the island. She tells everyone, or the 2 other ladies in the tribe, that she's got that. I don't know that she told Roxroy and Romeo that, which is why I think she's leaning a little bit more towards the ladies. We'll find out if that's truly the case. But it doesn't work the way Drea thought it was. Lots of times I feel like people mention that they've got some advantages, some immunity isles, things like that, to show that they're powerful enough that, hey, you don't want to come after me because I've got some protection. Go after someone else. Leave me alone for a while. Doesn't work that way in Drea's case. She mentions that to Swati and Tori, and almost immediately, at least it looks like to the edit, almost immediately Swati and Tori start saying, I'm a little worried. She's got so much power. That's a little too much power for her to have. And they've basically decided, hey, maybe this is a good time to get Drea out while she's got all these powers and take care of it while we can. A little dangerous. Again, it's double-edged sword. Show people that you got power, but if you show them too much, you're in trouble. Now, here's the thing. If Tori and Swati were actually to get Drea out, then suddenly it's the 2 ladies against the 2 guys, and who knows which way tribe goes from that point forward. I understand that they feel like she's got a little too much power, but if she's aligned with them right now, it may be worthwhile to at least take out one of the guys first, and then maybe turn and flip on her so that then they have the advantage. So it may be thinking a little further down the road. It may not be the best time to act, but they've decided that maybe if it comes to tribal council, that they may be targeting Drea. I think some of that's just based on, hey, anyone but me. And if I got a reason to point the finger and the target over here, then I'll do it. I wouldn't be surprised if she got to tribal that Tori and or Swati maybe pointed out this extra power to Romeo or Roxroy as well and tried to get them on board to get her out the door. Yeah, we'll find out. Perhaps not. Perhaps a little further down the road. But we do have that. Meanwhile, over in Vati, we've got Mike looking for an idol. You got to be very careful. Yeah, we already saw last week Tori looking for an idol, and it just almost burned her. Well, now Mike's out looking for an idol as well. He doesn't find an idol, but he does find an advantage. An advantage just like last season, one of these shared immunity idols that you can't play the idol until someone has found the advantage on all 3 tribes. And unfortunately, until that point, Mike has lost his vote. So he's really in a bad situation until the other people find the advantage as well. Now, remember, this is the one that in order to find out who on the other two tribes also has the advantage, they have to have these silly sayings that they say. You know, I don't remember. They were goofy last year about flowers and butterflies. Well, Mike's come off a little bit easy. His is a little bit better. His phrase is "There's such grace in soccer, it makes me cry." Well, I love soccer, but the flops that take place in soccer, that's kind of what makes me cry. But I agree. I love soccer. But he says, yeah, he doesn't like soccer, but he'll certainly say those phrases from this point on. Now, remember, no one has seen last season, season 41. So they're going to hear him say this phrase and not have a clue where he's coming from. I have a feeling, and you couldn't really see the rest of the phrases. But I have a feeling the rest of the phrases are going to ramp up their silliness a little bit more as you get a little further into the game itself. But Mike has found the idol. Doesn't do him any good till the other two parts of the idol are found. And meanwhile, he's lost his vote. Now, good to have that advantage, right? Not so good to be sharing that information. As I've said before, whether Big Brother, whether Survivor, information is gold. You don't give it away for free. Well, Mike does just that. Mike has told Jenny and Daniel about his idol, that he's got this shared immunity. Not only has he told them, but then he turns around and lets Daniel read through the entire message. So now Daniel knows that it's a shared immunity, that this phrase has to be said. So now Daniel's going to know when the other two advantages have been found. Even if you're going to tell others in your tribe, if I was Mike, I would have just said, hey, I've got this. You know, I can't use it for 3 weeks. You could have said something and not gone into all the details. He didn't do that. He's giving it to Daniel. And as Daniel points out, says, hey, I'm in the best position possible. I know all about the advantage, but I also don't have the disadvantage of not being able to vote. I've got the best of both worlds. I kind of agree with him. I gotta say, Daniel, we didn't see a lot of him tonight's episode. I feel like Daniel's gonna continue to work the game, and I think he's in for the long run. I do believe so. Yeah, Mike, I don't agree with telling everyone that you've got the advantage or the idol, but you get so excited out there, right? And then we see him losing the idol. He can't find it. Eventually, he does, but that's kind of stressful, right? You kick yourself all the way back to the States if you lost an idol and you got booted because of that. But eventually he does find it. Now, he told Daniel and Jenny, nothing stays a secret for long in any of these reality shows. And sure enough, Daniel immediately tells Janelle. And now these two are plotting against Mike. They're saying, look, let's get him out, get this power out of here. Or maybe just let's make sure that he doesn't say the phrase so the other two people don't have the power either. There's plotting going on. We'll see how this develops over the next couple of weeks. And as I get back to my first comment of the evening, when you only have 6 people per tribe, suddenly there's not a lot of places to hide. And in Mike's case, if he's got the power, Daniel and Jenny are seeing that one person's got the power. We got to get some targets that aren't us. Makes it real easy to go after someone that stands out from everyone else for whatever reason. So we've got that. And finally, we go on to the Taku, the Orange tribe. We see a bromance is developing between Omar and Jonathan, the odd couple. And I gotta say, I like the fact that I don't remember if it's Jonathan or Omar, but one of them said, I think it's Omar, said, yeah, Jonathan is my meat shield and I'm Jonathan's brain shield. You know, yeah, it kind of, they may be different threats from one another. Jonathan, obviously the big physical threat. Omar, the big mental strategic threat. Yeah, maybe. I don't know that we've seen enough of it yet, but there is a mention of you got your mental threat, you got your physical threats, you've got your social threat. Well, Jonathan's definitely the physical threat or the physical assist in that particular tribe. Omar, we don't really know yet, and I think Marianne may be the social threat for that particular tribe, maybe for the entire 16 people now. She's just, everyone seems to be liking Marianne. And hopefully Zach's liking Marianne. She talks a little bit later that she's kind of disappointed to see Zach's gone because she thought maybe there'd be some island romance taking place. There still could be. I hope it's not Ponderosa because I want Marianne to last longer than that, but we'll find out. All right, but we do have the bromance developing. We also get a story from Mariah about the loss of her brother to COVID. He was, I think, a nurse, the first practitioner or the first healthcare worker who passed from COVID when it hit us and all. I hate to say it, sympathies with her, but we do hear the story about that, and she's got a little necklace with this picture. I love seeing all these castaways throughout the first few episodes getting to tell their stories and learning their background behind them and what makes every one of them so special. All right, so with that, we are on to the immunity challenge. About halfway through the episode or so. This is a pretty good one. We've seen this a little bit before, but it's basically 5 people competing. So you've got one person sitting out on the I can't remember what tribe it is. The blue tribe. I'd have to go back. It doesn't matter. You've got 5 people competing for each tribe. One person's the caller. You've got 2 groups of 2. The remaining 4 people in the tribe tied together, blindfolded. They've got to navigate through all kinds of obstacles with the help of the caller. Navigate through obstacles, find puzzle pieces, bring the puzzle pieces back to the beginning. Then they've got to race all the way back through all the obstacles together as a group and solve a puzzle, kind of a round puzzle piece type puzzle, still blindfolded. The caller can give them the directions to help, but they're still blindfolded. I like seeing that part of the challenge. That was kind of fun to watch. But the first 2 tribes who finish, the first tribe gets a big thing of fishing gear. Second tribe gets a little bit of fishing gear. The main thing is they're not going to tribal council. Last place team is going to tribal. No one wants that this early in the season. Well, you never want it, but certainly don't want this week either. Callers for the 3 tribes are Drea, Lydia, and Jonathan. Now, here's the thing. I think it's a major advantage for Jonathan and the Taku tribe, the Orange tribe, that Jonathan is a single guy that's yelling commands, not man versus woman or anything like that. Just the fact that you've got one guy with a very, more distinguishable voice than the 2 women who are shouting over each other. I think it's going to make it that much easier for the Orange tribe to listen to the directions and everything. I assume when they pick their callers, they have to do it independently. They don't know who the other teams are going to pick or not, but I thought it was really smart to pick Jonathan. Seems like he could be loud if he needed to be. I guarantee if I'm on the island, they're probably going to say, yeah, Cliff, we'll let you be the caller. We'll hear you from the other side of the island. That'd be all right with that. But no, Jonathan's a caller. I think that gives a little bit of advantage to the Orange tribe, and we'll find out. It seems like when they first start that they probably do have the advantage. But I got to say, it's a little confusing for everyone playing the game, trying to listen. They're all being over-talked by each other. They're crashing into barriers, everything that we always see with this challenge. A little confusing for the viewer as well because of the cuts and everything. You don't really know exactly how different people are going because there's a lot of different obstacles that they've got to get around. But eventually, the Orange tribe with Jonathan as a caller does retrieve their pieces first, followed by Ika, the Blue tribe. And then the Green Vadi tribe is way behind the other 2 as they start proceeding to the puzzle itself. Again, the puzzle has to be solved while the puzzle solvers are still blindfolded. I thought that's cool. So you can be the best puzzle solver in the world, but you're still dependent upon that caller to help you figure out what piece goes where. And even though the Orange tribe starts off first with the puzzle pieces, doesn't matter. What a surprise. The last place team, Vadi, the green team, wins the challenge. The blue team maintains their second place. They finish as well, which means Taku, the orange team, finishes in last place. Now, Taku is the team that had Jackson that departed for medical reasons last week, which means they're already down to 2 guys, 3 women, 5 players total. They're getting ready to lose someone else. They're going to be down to 4 after this week. So not a great competition for Taku. I thought they're going to do a little bit better. Just didn't work out. So we're going to see what happens with the tribal council. So who's at risk of these 4? Well, I can't picture them sending Jonathan home because he's going to be such a help for the physical aspect of competitions for this tribe going forward until the merge occurs, which may not be too long if you get down to 4 people. So I think Jonathan's safe. I think Jonathan will help protect Omar. I feel like Omar probably has enough of a social game that he should be okay as well. So the 2 guys are safe. And so I really think it then comes down to Mariah as a possible choice. That was my first thought. Well, as it turns out, it's probably either Mariah or Marianne are the 2 biggest targets being discussed back to the tribe. We do see Jonathan and Omar getting together with Marianne saying, look, we're not going to be voting to send you home. You're good. Marianne's happy to hear that, but you never know, right? People will tell you whatever they think you want to hear, especially, and it's mentioned a little bit, especially this season where you can take that shot in the dark, that 1 in 6 chance that you'll survive. So if you think there's any chance that you may be getting voted out at tribal council, Go for your shot in the dark, which means it's even more important than past seasons to convince people that they're safe, whether they truly are or not. And Maryanne understands that, but they're saying, no, you're good. Does she believe them? Yeah, we're going to find out a little bit later. We'll find out if she should believe them a little bit later. But it does turn out that Maryanne and Mariah know that they're at risk. They're planning to vote for each other, against each other. But here's the other kicker. Maryanne went to that island, risked her vote. She still doesn't know if she has a vote at all. If everyone risked their vote, then that means that she doesn't get a vote this week. If they didn't all risk their vote, it means she gets an extra vote. So big swing and possible opportunities for Maryanne based on what happened on that island. We know that she gets an extra vote. She's not going to find that out until tribal council itself. So because of that, Maryanne's a little bit worried, a little bit nervous, whether she should trust the guys and whether she'll have a vote at all. So she starts looking for an idol out in the middle of the jungle. And sure enough, she gets caught by Lindsay and Maria. Everyone's watching. By this point in time, you're always going to get caught when you're looking for idols, it seems like. So she gets caught. She says something about, I'm looking for those flowers y'all use. Lindsay and Mariah, they know what's going on. And yeah. So now Maryanne's in a little bit more precarious position as well. It seems like after all this, we know Maryanne's voting for Mariah. Mariah's voting for Maryanne. Omar could be a little bit of the flip this week in terms of who may vote for who. It's just my first thought. And the big question, Maryanne's going to find out she's got the extra vote. Does she use it, or does she feel safe enough not to use it to save it for a little bit later? We're going to find out. But remember, she doesn't know yet whether she's even got it. Now, Maryanne at Tribal Council does a pretty good job of pointing out all the variables that make these tribals so much less easy to predict or to understand when you're sitting there at Tribal, as opposed to us, the viewers. As viewers, we've seen all the conversations that the editors want to show us, at least. Similar to Big Brother, as a viewer, you're privy to all kinds of conversations. Sitting there at Tribal or sitting there in front of Julie Chen on eviction night, you only have a small piece of the puzzle, and you're trying to build assumptions and trying to make best guesses on everything, all the pieces that you're not aware of. And Maryanne's pointing out that all these things could happen based on advantages and votes and everything else, and it just gets so confusing at the end of time. Yeah, it's tough. She's pointing out it's a stressful situation, and you may do the best you can. So we got that. Now comes to the vote. Maryanne discovers that she does have the extra vote. But after the votes are cast, the big question is, either one of them going to use the shot in the dark? I really didn't expect Maryanne to. As far as Mariah, don't know. Everyone wanted to try to convince Mariah they were voting Maryanne out so she wouldn't use her shot in the dark either. Does she believe him? Does she not? Well, she doesn't believe him. She tries her shot in the dark. And unfortunately for her, she's not safe. That 1 in 6 chance doesn't pan out. So not only does that mean that she's not safe, but it also means that she lost her vote. So she can't even vote against Maryanne and hope that that's makes a difference or whatever. Not a good situation for Mariah, but you take your chances. And I have a feeling she probably understood maybe better even than we saw as viewers that she was perhaps the more likely target this time. And as it turns out, she was right, because by a 4-0 vote, because she didn't get to vote, by a 4-0 vote, Mariah is gone. She had talked about that she was kind of the mom, and she didn't want to be the mom. She wanted to be playing for herself. I get it. I was cheering for her as a fellow parent. I understood I was cheering for her, but I don't think she did enough to convince her tribe that she carried benefit from a competition standpoint. I think her social game was maybe not quite as strong as Maryanne's was. And as a result, Mariah, her torch is extinguished. She's led away, and she's the third person to be gone this season. Gotta say, y'all can tell I'm a fan of Maryanne, right? I'm not disappointed to see Maryanne not gone, but nothing personal against Mariah. I thought she was doing a pretty good job. I think another week or two, and she could have continued to make some inroads from a social standpoint, and probably lasted quite a bit longer. She just didn't have the opportunity to do so. So again, we're down to 13 contestants at this point in time. Now, the big question, did Maryanne use her extra vote? I don't think so. They didn't really do a good job of showing us for absolute certain, but we didn't see an extra vote being played. And so I assume that she felt comfortable. Mariah felt like she was a big enough risk to go home that she used her shot in the dark. I have a feeling Marianne probably was figuring the same thing, that it was probably a lot more likely as Mariah, so she didn't use her extra vote, so she still has that safe. So she's going to be in a pretty good position as well. We don't know for certain, but I think that's the case. All right, so that's it for the episode. The secret radar, under the radar VIP person I want to call out this week, Jenny. I got to say, I think Jenny's playing a pretty good game. We barely saw her. We saw one quick discussion when Mike showed her the shared immunity idol that they found. Other than that, Jenny really didn't make an appearance this episode. I think that's a good sign. I think that's the indication that she's going to be around for a while, that the editors are probably more focused on other people who are more involved in the early stages of the game. I think Jenny, we've seen that she's a great puzzle person. Seems like she's a friendly person. She's probably playing, looks like she's playing a good social game. So kind of a thumbs up to the hidden person this episode of Jenny. I think that's a good sign for her. All right, guys, there you have it. We're down to 15 people already after only 2 weeks or 2 cycles. They're only 2 or 3 days per cycle in Survivor. It's going fast. We'll see what happens next week, but yeah, so far so good. I'm enjoying the season. It's fun watching these twists come into play again, see how people play them differently. We'll see what happens next week. Guys, y'all have a fantastic week. I will be back again next Wednesday to talk about episode 3. Until then, SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye.